So let me start by introducing Coldest One, our AI-driven, no-code application development platform. Coldest One is brought to you by the same thought leaders as Modern Requirements. Modern Requirements has been in business for nearly 20 years and working closely with Microsoft for well over a decade as a partner. Our relationship with Microsoft evolved further last year when we saw the immense opportunity to bring an AI experience to Azure DevOps. We started partnering with Microsoft in a new way. Nicole Dezen, Chief Partner Officer at Microsoft, highlighted Modern Requirements as a key AI transformation partner at Expire. In fact, we're pleased to inform you that Modern Requirements won the award for Best AI Automation Tool in the Canadian SME National Business Awards of 2023. Same level of security, ingenuity, and thought leadership that's going into Modern Requirements saw the need in the market for a platform to streamline no-code application development, and with that, Coldest One was born. So before we get started in the presentation, we have a few questions we'd like to ask you. So Sucrit, can you launch our first poll, please? Just a few more minutes, a few more seconds, sorry. All right, Sucrit, could you show the results of the poll? Excellent. So which type of applications are you the most interested in building with a no-code platform? 22% said internal business management applications and customer-facing applications. And most of you said all the above. Really interesting. Sucrit, could you launch our next poll, please? Give everyone on the call a few seconds to answer.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, right? What challenges are you guys facing in building your software applications? So in this case, we did not give all of the above, because I suspect most of them apply to most people, but it'd be interesting to see what's sort of the top one. All right, let's see the results. So that's interesting, huh? Time constraints is the top challenge, and the others are similar in its frequency in this poll. That was excellent. Thank you.
Right, which is a great transition into our next slide. So let me share some industry insights about app development. 50% of medium to large enterprises will have adopted no-code development by 2023, which means the industry is shifting towards more agile and accessible app creation methods. Forbes says 94% of app users say custom apps give them competitive advantages. Bespoke applications stand out in the market as it allows companies and users to get solutions as opposed to building a process around a rigid tool. Lastly, 60% of companies are prioritizing building custom software in-house to align technology with business goals. Now, let me be crystal clear. The future is no-code. And as technology advances, software development will happen in a no-code process. So speaking about the issues that people are facing when it comes to application development, these are the issues that clients are faced with that they look to Coldest One to solve. From high cost to resource constraints, projects can become extremely time and resource consuming. One of our business analyst clients told us they were stuck waiting for funding and waiting for teammates to get a project approved so they can make the changes necessary. Now imagine a world where you can get to your destination faster and more economically. Think about how many of these problems you're experiencing today with your application development. You'll also be happy to know that Coldest One can solve all of these problems, and you'll see that in the demo in just a few minutes. What you're looking at here is what traditional agile development looks like, from ideas, planning, through to design, development, testing, deployment, and eventually ending in maintenance. However, is there a better way? We believe so. We believe the entire process can be streamlined using AI, no-code app development, and really upend how the entire process works. So we start by leveraging the power of AI to get a base application built in minutes. We rapidly iterate on the application to tune it to your organization's needs. And lastly, launch it and scale it as you need in your business. So here's some powerful capabilities for real-world challenges. There are 4 areas that Coldest One can support you, and the first is data management, such as the ability to have rich data views, Kanban boards, data imports, integrations, what is unique to Coldest One, relational data. Its analytics capabilities include dashboarding, custom reporting, calculations, but also histories to understand what's changed and when. Contemporary applications all need to have automations to help streamline workflows, and Coldest One has the ability to manage approvals, role-based permissions, data access rules, and even business rules, so you can customize the application to fit within the organization's governance framework. Lastly, what's a contemporary bespoke application without the ability to bring people together? There are collaboration capabilities built natively, and it can be tuned to your specific business needs. Together, these 4 elements would create a powerful and useful application for your business. But what makes Coldest One special is that you can build and tune an application with all of these capabilities in the fraction of the time and effort it traditionally would take you just to write requirements. Given the breadth of capabilities and use cases, these are the types of roles we found to really benefit from implementing the Coldest One platform. Using Coldest One, you can build internal applications for your staff, your partners, or your clients. Now take a look at how full stack development compares financially to Coldest One, and this is not even considering the massive savings of time. As you can see, 1,760 hours. If you can develop your projects with Coldest One on this timeline with these resources, think about what this would mean to you and your team. So to Modern Requirements clients, we appreciate your business and would like to extend a new benefit, and you can redeem this benefit in one of 2 ways. So our first benefit, we'll offer you 5 professional level licenses for 6 months, which is an $1,800 value. Or the second way you can redeem this benefit, which I personally recommend, is 5 professional licenses for 3 months and professional services to assist in building your first business application, approximately 6 hours consulting, which is a $2,400 value. To redeem this benefit, please contact us at my personal email address, andrew.music@modernrequirements.com or info@coldestone.com. I'll put the slide up at the end of the demo. So that concludes our presentation. Now let me introduce Asif Sharif, our founder and chief technologist. He's going to wow you with how easily you can create full-blown business applications in just minutes using the power of AI.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Andrew. And hey, folks, good morning, good afternoon. So I've shared my screen with you, and I'm going to give you a walkthrough of the power of Codeless One. Yesterday, we were on a call with a client that wanted to build a system for request intake. So they'll get requests, and they want to process the request and have various people process the request, then there needs to be review of it and approval, and they want to report and dashboard on it. And we were able to build that application on the fly. So what would have taken weeks, if not months, to build, we were able to build it within an hour. So let me show you how Codeless One works and how you might be empowered by it. So one way of creating an app in Codeless One is you basically go to the library of applications. There's a bunch of applications in different industries and application types, and then you can create applications based on these templates, and you can customize it for what you need later on. However, what I want to do today is to show you how to build an app from scratch, absolutely scratch, right? So we will go to create a new app, and what we will do is we'll tell it, we will give it a name. Now, let's say we want to build an event management system. Okay. And the intent of this event management system is, I'm just going to copy and paste a short description. It's really, I want to manage my company events. Okay. And so I want a system for that. And that's all the input I'm going to give it right now. Now, if I had detailed requirements, I could copy and paste my detailed requirements here. But in the absence of that, you can even give it just the name. Okay. So at which point you do next. And when you do next, the system will determine, based on the application that you want to build, what types of information do you want to manage. Well, certainly you want to manage events, because this is an event management system. We need venues. We need to manage attendees, speakers. We need to manage registration, maybe do ticketing. Let's say, and we maybe need payments. Maybe it's internal, I don't need payments. Maybe I will keep the feedback there. And if I need more, I can click on more, and it'll come up with additional recommendation of what information we might need to manage. So if you have many sessions happening, we can start managing that session information as well. Okay. If you're going to have sponsors, then we can manage sponsors as well. So we can choose any and all of these that we need. And for any one of these are the attributes it's recommending. Okay. So the system did not know, Codeless One doesn't know event management. But given the title, we can infer these are the things you might need. And then if you want to update the drop-down list, you can sort of click on edit. You can reorganize, you can sort it as need be. You can add new values and so on. And you can also ask it for more properties. Okay. And so we could say, hey, what time does this start? What time does it end? What category is it? And so on and so forth. Okay. Now, initially, all we are doing is defining a general framework. So we get something up and running quickly so we can show it to the stakeholders to get feedback. Question is, how long does it take for you to provide a working application to people to provide feedback? So initially, what I'm going to do is to use this solution from an ideation point of view. Okay. So what do we have here? So here is the relationships. An event can only have one venue, but you know what? Let's say the event can have many venues, right? An event can have many speakers. An event can have, let's just say, event can have many registrations. Or maybe I don't need registration here. Let's leave that out, right? I have registration to attendees. Maybe this is a one-to-one. Okay. And registration to ticket. So in this case, it's also one-to-one. Okay. And then registration to feedback, we'll do one-to-one as well. Okay. So you define the relationships, and by the way, since the event has venues, I'll say that I want the event name to appear in the venue record itself. Okay. But anyways, you can sort of choose the rules you want here, and then you go next. So here is when you define what kinds of views do you want. So if you have events, calendar view would be useful to have for the events, right? If we have speakers, a Kanban board might be useful for that. and so on and so forth. And I'll enable cards for events as well. Okay. So you just choose the different types of ways of managing information, and that's it. 3 steps. Okay, you give it a name, you select the entities, the attributes, the relationships, and the display types. And now Codeless One AI automation is busy at work. So what is it doing? It is creating an application for you. It'll create a beautiful looking application that's functionally rich with dashboarding, reporting, notification, workflow, a bunch of additional rules. And once it's all done with all of that, which it is done now, it will make it available as a web application, as a browser-based application. So now I have events here, and I have the various information there. But you know what? Before we use this application, let's just add some data to it. I'll just add some dummy data so we can take a look at how the application really operates. Now imagine this application got built for us. And as you will see, it's a rich application in minutes, right? Now I can present this to my stakeholders and say, you want to define an event? Perfect. You go here, you define the event, right? And then you go to within the event, and now you have all the information. Once it's scheduled, I can change the state to scheduled. Once it's completed, I can mark it completed. If it gets canceled, I'll mark it as such. This event, if I want to edit it, I just can click on edit, and now I can edit this thing and say, no, you know what, capacity? We are going into a bigger hall, so it's going to be that. And now we have changed the capacity there, and there you are. What venues do we have? There are 3 venues assigned to that event. And if I want to add a new venue, I can just go and create a new venue for this event directly from here, right? So it's a fully functional web application. It has security in many different ways. It secures your data. You can give different people access to different parts of the system, and so on and so forth. In fact, one of the things you can do, if I go back to events, is I could say, show me this information in a split view. So now I have data that is available. The list is on the left, the data is on the right. Now, all of these things are fully configurable. For example, if I want to change the configuration of this, I have to customize it. I just turn on App Editor. Now, one of the design decisions we made was we wanted the application to be editable in the app. So you don't have to go off somewhere else and edit it. You can do it directly within the app. So for example, if I go to the top section, I can say, you know what, I want my menu to the left. And within the menu item, I don't want user profile there. In fact, I don't want even the feedback there, because feedback and tickets are both under registration, and speakers and attendees are also under events. I will remove those, and that's it. I'll go update. This will immediately update the application to reflect the changes that we wanted. So now you can see the menus on the left-hand side, and the other ones were hidden. We can reorganize this. So we can do a lot of the changes directly in line, okay? But now consider this. If you want to make further changes, you can go to the app setting. If you want advanced settings, you can go to the app model, and then within the app model, these are your objects we have defined in the system. You can define new objects. You can even ask AI to recommend other objects that we may need. So you can say, you know what, I do want sponsor in there. And so now we can add the sponsor capability to the application. Okay, so sponsor got added. I can go to the object relations. I can say, you know what, can you recommend any other new relations to me that I don't already have? And so there you are. So we'll actually keep this, and And maybe we'll do one-to-many here and reference the event name under the sponsor. And that's it. And then we can republish it. And when I republish it, the application will now get updated with sponsor being supported in it. Okay. So you can see the speed at which we can create an application, and this is where we can define a sponsor, right? So from an ideation point of view, really the idea is that as you're getting requirements, you can build these applications out very quickly. Okay. Now, we have many different views that I was talking about earlier. We have tables, split view, calendar view, Kanban view, cards view. We are just releasing the Gantt chart view. So if you want to do WBS, if you want to build out project management solutions, not only with your task with Kanban and Gantt chart, but also custom forms. People can send in their requisition for certain projects. All of that can be managed within a single Codeless One app. Now, hopefully this is starting to show you the power of Codeless One. Okay, how efficiently can you create apps? But let me bring up an application that I built with some data in it. And so, for example, here is an application. Again, it was built the same way that I showed you. A few other things were configured. For example, the color coding was configured. You can define different types of rules and so on. So a few of those things were done in here. Probably an additional 30 minutes was spent configuring a few things. So what I'm showing here is you can create these dashboards. Okay. And dashboards can be created with a variety of widgets, and then every widget has many different templates and rule sets that you can apply to create beautiful dashboards. And again, this got automatically made available when you created the application. So you didn't have to do anything. In fact, you can create multiple dashboards. You can clone your dashboard and create variations for different people. You can create reports. And in reports, you can do things like you can say, you know what, I want a count, I want my capacity, I want to know what my average capacity is, as well as my count, or whatever the case may be. We can configure these reports by selecting the fields and then providing various types of filters in there, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, so you can create multiple reports, and so you have dashboarding, you have reporting. Now, the one interesting thing is that let's say you have an application, in this case, an event management system, where once the event is defined, it needs to go to certain people for approval. So if this event is a small event, maybe a manager can approve it. If it's a big event, you need the VP to approve it. And so you can define approval workflows where certain people, when they log in under their My Approval section, they'll see that there is this event that now has sent to me. Here are the details of the event, and then I'm the one who can go ahead and approve it. Okay. And in the history, you'll see the details of the past events that I've approved or rejected. Okay. So you can define these workflows where the message goes from one user to another, or it can go to multiple people at once. So imagine an employee onboarding application where IT has to do something, HR has to do something, somebody else has to do something. You may want them to execute it at once or in a linear fashion. So you can configure this however you like. Oh yeah, by the way, the workflow is configured through the app settings area. So you can go to the approval workflow. I have one here. I can disable it if I wanted to, And this is where the workflow is configured. Okay. And you can say that, okay, if I approve it, then another workflow needs to be triggered, right? So you can chain workflows. You can also say if you reject it, then I need you to provide me a comment as to why did you reject it. And if it did got rejected, then I want you to trigger another workflow so that whoever submitted the request now gets a notification in their workflow area. Although you can set up email notification as well if you wanted to. So let's go back to event management. And so these are the events we have. We can go to task management. This is the Kanban board that we have here. And we can organize, we can sort of do the drag and drop stuff that we need to. We can create new events from here. We can create different lists. Lists are conditions. It's like queries. If you're familiar with Azure DevOps, you would call this queries in ADM, right? But they're lists that you can create based on various conditions. Choose what columns to show in there. How do you want to sort it? Can be done through the lists. You can also define charts. So you can go ahead and define different types of charts directly in this view, and so you can see how many of the tasks are assigned to Mao versus assigned to me. But you can create multiple charts in this way. So basically, go to Chart Designer, and then you configure the parameters, and you define the charts. And really, the whole idea is about data analytics. You want to be able to understand what's happening. So either you create lists and charts from the task perspective, or you can have that embedded directly into the dashboard, right? And by the way, in the dashboard, you can even have things like lists. So here are my to-do items, for example, or here's what are the high risks for my project. So if you're doing a risk management system, right? So that's that. The one other thing that I do want to mention is when you take a look at application settings, you will see that data security and privacy is obviously very important. So how can you segment your data? So one way of segmenting data is through roles. So you could say a contributor can do these things. So this is sort of access control. But from a data perspective, you can then define that a contributor has read-only access to an event. Okay. And or they have full access to the budget, but certain fields might be read-only for people in that role. Okay, so you can provide table level and column level data security and access control. Okay, so that's one. So you can define many roles, assign people to different roles, and determine who has access to what data. The user interface will automatically adapt to these rules. Okay. So now you might also be wondering, what about role level access? What if there is a record that is for an event in California? I want my managers in California to manage it. But if the event is in Canada, I want the Canadian group to access it. So for that, you can actually use user groups, right? You can go to user group, and you can basically say, this is one group where right now I'm in that group, and we can now define data access rules. So what data can this person have access to? Okay. And so this is where you put your conditions in, and then when these conditions are met, then people in this group would have access to that data. Okay. So what that really means is that you can segment the rows of your thing, rows of your data, and so certain people have access to some information, others have access to other information. A good use case for this is ticketing. Let's say you have a ticketing system. So when you have tickets from clients that are in Asia, you want your Asia team to have access to that. And if it's from North America, then you want your North American group to have it, right? Or if you're from Europe, you want them to have it. But you want to create these isolated areas where only certain people have access to certain data, so you can control that through groups and access control. One of the other things you have is called notification. So you can set up alerts, and you can define conditions for the alerts, and what does that email look like, and who does it go to, can all be configured online. So you can set up lots of things. Oh yeah, one interesting stuff we released recently, and this is shared forms. So imagine you have a situation where you want to get feedback from your customers. So let's say you're building a training management system, right? So you're going to manage all your client trainings through this portal, but you want your clients to provide feedback to you, but you don't want to give them access to the system. Now, there could be many cases where you do want to give them access, but imagine for a moment you don't. In that case, you come to basically here, you design a form. It's a drag and drop approach, okay? And then you can share this form with your clients whom you provide training, and they can click on that hyperlink and access that form, fill out the form, and you'll get the data show up in your application. Okay. So in this case, the form is not does not require authentication. It's almost like contact us form on a web page, right? So that's how the form would look like, and the form can be a multi-step form. So it's step 1, 2, 3, 4. Because it's a big form, you don't want to give them all the fields on one form, so you break it up, and so on. And so that's how you define this thing, and then ultimately you can share it. You can share the form with them, and when you share the link with them, they will then have access to the form, and they can fill out your survey or whatever the case may be. And of course, you can also embed this within your website or other places. Okay. So this shared form is a very interesting, useful use case for Codeless One. You can also import your data. So if you have an Excel, or we also provide REST API and Zapier integration. So there's multiple ways to import, export data. Plus, we support a variety of different types of styles, and there's some are predefined, but you can then customize it however you like. Okay. So, folks, that is how Codeless One in general works. It's a very powerful tool, and the biggest point is, the most important takeaway from this webinar is you can use Codeless One for ideation. Take a concept, build it out, let people experience it, and once they say, yeah, this is the right direction, then fine tune it, turn it into a prototype. And now it becomes a prototype. You can add other people. Multiple people can use it. All you do is you click on add people here, and you can add people to it. And as you get into the prototype and you start to fine tune it, you might find more often than not, Codeless One application, which is not only very powerful and very secure, very, very responsive in terms of speed, but also the application is responsive. So you can use it on a tablet and so on and so forth. So you could actually deploy it into production and start to use it, right? So 3 stages to a Codeless One development. Start with ideation, then go into prototype, and then, if it makes sense, complete it directly in Codeless One. because you can do it in hours and days, not weeks, months, or years, right? So you can even deploy it into production if you like, right? Oh yeah, one other thing. Uh, and this is the last point, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. What I want to talk about here is the idea of super apps. So many of you might have been involved in, let's say, master data management projects where you have different applications built that you're trying to integrate their data into one, so you can run certain types of analytics. And that's because they're separate applications. What we did was we created this idea of a super app where I could go to vendor management app and it would give me different set of function points, like catering is in there. But if I go to event management, I may not have catering in here. So you could have overlapping applications, but these are separate portals for different user groups. So you don't, in Codeless One, you don't necessarily create completely different applications for a portfolio of applications. You create one super app for your portfolio and then give access to people selectively, where you end up with one centralized database. So there's no more syncing necessary. And you can satisfy the needs of many different stakeholders or roles that you have to satisfy. Okay. So super app is a super idea, if you will. And so that's Codeless One. Folks, 20 years ago, I had envisioned Codeless One as a product called IDEA. And its vision was to create applications quickly. We reinvested into this a couple, 3 years ago. And as you can see, it has turned out to be an amazing product. Everybody that loves it, uses it, loves it. But we certainly welcome you to try it out. Reach out to us if you have questions. And of course, if you're a Modern Requirements client, we have made this available as a benefit. With that, let me hand this back to Andrew to do the Q&A part of this session.
Thank you very much, Asif. That was a wonderful presentation. Before we transition to the Q&A, we have a few more questions we'd like to ask the audience. So, Sucrit, could you please do our third poll? Give everybody a few seconds to answer. All right, Sucrit, could you share the results, please? So what are your favorite features of Codeless One? Obviously, besides its ease of use. So we had number one answer, app model AI recommendations. So when the AI recommends data fields for you to use in your application. And next is workflow automation, of course, 35%, all the above. All right, Sucrit, could you give our last poll question, please? Give everyone a few seconds to answer the last question. All right. Thank you, Sugrit. Appreciate that. So we'll move on to the question and answer portion of our presentation. So Asif, first question for you. Can the AI be used to modify the UI as needed?
So right now, the AI can be used to get the recommendation on the entities, objects, and relations. We have just completed the UI recommend AI. So of course, AI is building the UI upfront, but when you want to modify it, we'll be launching the AI part for the modification bit in the next month or two. And so there's multiple phases to that, but the initial phase where you can just say determine what is the optimal layout based on these fields, and it'll actually come up with what the optimal layout should be. So that will be released shortly.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next question. Are there training materials, tutorials, or a user community available for new users?
Yes. So if you have two choices. One is you can, when you log into the application, and by the way, you can just go to codeless1.com and register and start using it. There's a freemium version to it. But of course, if you're a model requirements client, then let us know. We'll give you the pro licenses. But if you want help, you can go to the video guide. That's the one I like best. There's a bunch of videos here, which is also available on codeless1.com.
Yeah, you can go to our resources tab and then click the videos and you'll get to see them all there. Excellent. So for those of you who are asking, we will send out the recording at the end of this, so don't worry about that. So next question, Asif. Is the tool just for building hosted web-based applications?
So when it says hosted, there's two options available with Codeless One. One option is to use it as a SaaS, which is what I was showing you. So you log into Codeless One and you create apps and so on and so forth. The other is the enterprise option. The enterprise option allows you to deploy Codeless One in your data center as a private tenant. And then in that case, it's not hosted, it's privately. So you have options for both.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. So next question. What low-code/no-code framework are you using? Is this built on top of MS Power Apps, for example?
No, it is not. If you've ever tried to use Power Apps and you try to do what we did today in building this event management system, you would have taken hours to do it and probably still not end up with this sophistication unless you're an expert in Power Apps. So no, we did not use that. We have built our proprietary AI automation technology. And of course, the appropriate frameworks to support it.
All right. Next question. How do you go about adding or changing business logic?
So there are various types of business logics you can configure in the system as no code. But let's say you have business logic that is very custom, very complex, and so on. So for that, we do expose REST API with event hooks. So you can be notified when certain things happen in the system, and then you can go ahead and write event handlers with the logic that you want. We are currently working on an advanced version of internal workflow, which will even expand further the types of business rules that you can implement with no code. So they'll be coming out in the next couple, 3 months. So it's really, we currently have a whole bunch of business rules you can configure in a no code way. You can extend it with REST API and event hooks. And soon we'll be coming up with more advanced logic that you can configure with no code. For example, let's say you have an order. Order has many line items, and you want to add up the line items to get the total in the order, and then the total has a tax calculation, and then then the final total. All of that can be done in a no-code way, right? So there's a lot of calculation and other things we currently support, but more will be added in our next release.
Gotcha. So what are the main advantages of Codeless One compared to MS Power Apps?
I think one of the key things is speed, and the second point is you don't need to learn umpteen different tools. Power Apps is a collection of I don't know, 8, 10 different applications that they glue together to give you that capability. Your learning curve is very high. It takes much longer to build these applications, and you need to know how to design an app. With Codeless One, we didn't have to do that. It was, although you can customize your UI, you can drag and drop and make it look different, but the whole application came out beautifully automatically together. So it's a much simpler learning curve compared to Power Apps.
All right. Next question. Where can I invite users to a project or a project in my organization? Also, from where can I assign roles to the users?
Yep. So basically, you will add different people to your project. So you can add the individuals to your organization first, and once you've added them to the organization, you can then assign them a role and tell them what portals, in this case, because I'm already in an app, that they would have access to. So at the application portal level, this is how you do it. At the org level, you can go ahead and invite people to this as well from here, and so on. So you can invite new users from there, and then you can assign them licenses or subscription as need be.
Gotcha. All right, next question. So this looks nice, thank you. Any support for multi-tenant applications like event managers from a different agency?
Yeah, so what you can do is you can, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things you have is access to row level control. So you could build one application and then give access to different clients as an almost like a SaaS offering. And so they will have access to their data. Each individual organization would have access to their own data, but it's the same application. So it, in effect, works like a SaaS application.
Gotcha. So just as a quick aside, wanted to put the benefits back on the screen. These are for Modern Requirements clients. For people who are attending this webinar, we would love to do a custom demonstration for you of Codeless One to show how Codeless One can help you with your application development. So next question for you, Asif. Would it be possible to add custom fields and categories when selecting the initial data set?
Sorry, could you read that again?
Sure. Would it be possible to add custom fields and categories when selecting the initial data set?
So in the initial recommendation today, what you can do is it's all recommendation based. You can't add things manually. However, in our vNext, we are going to be releasing the ability to add new fields or entities even during the recommendation phase. So you don't have to wait until you publish it and then go to app settings to add those later, but you'll be able to do it up front. So that's coming shortly.
Gotcha. So the next question is, may I ask what is the licensing model? So if you could go to our website, codelessone.com, you can look at our pricing. You have 4 different licensing configurations. So first one, we have a free license. Then we go to starter, professional, and then enterprise. Each has a different amount of applications and records, and also data storage. You can have it's a minimum of 5 licenses per, and you can see the monthly cost there. Anything else you'd like to add, Asif?
Nope, that's it. Yeah, just go to our website, codeless1.com, hit pricing, you'll see the pricing options.
Okay.
Of course, if you have more questions, reach out to us and we'll provide more details.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can go to, send me an email, andrew.music@modernrequirements.com. So next question, how easily can Coldless One interface with existing systems / other environments?
Sorry, Andrew, say that again.
Sure. How easily can Coldless One interface with existing systems or other environments?
Right. So currently there are 2 ways to do it. One is we provide Zapier integration, and Zapier is a very popular platform where you can integrate hundreds, in fact, thousands of applications, and Codeless One is one of them there. So you can use Zapier, which is a no-code integration platform. The other way to do it is to use our REST API with event hooks, so that, of course, you need a developer to write your integration logic. So again, you can write your own integration logic using REST API, or you can do it using Zapier.
Gotcha. And just for everybody knows, Sucreet shared a link to the pricing in the chat, so you can just click on it. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. So next question for you, Asif. Can a solution built using Codeless One be hosted in MS Azure or AWS, or either?
So the first thing is the Codeless One is a SaaS offer, a SaaS solution that is hosted on Azure. And if you wanted the enterprise private tenant option, that would also be hosted on Azure. So it can be your own data center, but it would be hosted on Azure.
Excellent. So we only have 2 more questions there. Just for those of you who have to drop off, thank you so much for joining us today. So Asif, second to last question, can you make compiled type ready to run system? For example, you make an app and install it into a customer's environment, then upgrade it and test possible changes in your own development environment.
Yes, so we do support multiple instances. So you could have a dev instance, a test instance, a prod instance. You could even have a prod instance for client 1 and a prod instance for client 2. So you could have different instances for different purposes, dev, test, prod. Again, you could have multiple prod instances. That's actually one of the questions somebody had asked earlier. Can we use this as a SaaS offer? So there's 2 ways to do it. You basically create 2 instances for 2 different clients. Now they're completely isolated, dedicated databases for each client, or you create one application that you give both your clients access to, but you have the data segmentation rule defined so that they each just see their own data.
Gotcha. Last question. What are the current options for integration with the Codeless One app? API or data source? Question mark.
So it is. So we again, we provide 2 options for integration. Either you can use Zapier. So if you say you want to integrate with Salesforce, then you will use Zapier, or any well-known system. Zapier has those integrations. So you can use Codeless One to integrate with any other system in either direction, or you can use the REST API with event hooks, and then implement your own integration if you like.
All right, well, that's it for today. Thank you, everybody, for joining this webinar on behalf of Codeless One. This is a really exciting space to be in. We feel that Codeless One has infinite potential, and so we're really happy that everybody shared this time with us. Like I said, love to do a custom demonstration for your organization. Please feel free to email us at the email address andrew.music@modernrequirements.com or info@codelessone.com. Love to speak to you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.